Hiya, Kate Floss, uh, 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 citizen journalist, citizen lawyer, citizen fighter for the 1688 Bill of Rights. 1688 Bill of Rights is the top Bill of Rights. The whole world is sat on this Bill of Rights. And why is the Bill of Rights 1688? It's called the Reformation. Is when we got this, when the divine kings were put under constitutional rule and we were given all our parliaments and everything. And then the absolute kings were to be no more. Now there are, there's 50% of people want the absolute kings to come back, the Jacobite kings and the divine kings, and 50% want to have our constitutional kings. So it's 6 of one and half dozen of the other. But this is a Protestant Lutheran Bill of Rights, and it came about by the Reformation, and over in America, the Latter-day Saint people are doing the Restoration. So there's a fight for the three religions, the Catholics, the Muslims, and the Jewish people, to have a restoration of the absolute rule of the church. And then there's a fight between the people, the Protestants, which includes Catholic and Jewish and Christian, who want to continue with the Reformation. This is the battle that's going on. It's a holy, heavenly, they said it was going to be a holy war. The Third World War was going to be a holy war, and it is. It's a holy war. Now, I'm fighting for the 1688 Bill of Rights. Well, the Bill of Rights 1688. Why would I be fighting for that? Because it's the only one that says that you, one person, that you each own one crown, and that you can, by the 1908 Declaratory Judgements Act, the 1883 Bills of Exchange Act, you can enter the court at any time and ask them for a declaration. If any of your rights in here have been violated, you can enter the court. Now, do you know what's wrong with you all? This process has been blocked. This is what they have taken away from you, is the individual right to private prosecution of the ministers of the Crown. That is what's wrong here. Now, the only way that you can do that is by using this Bill of Rights 1688. It has not been used in New Zealand for more than 50 years, and when I called England about using it, they were like, no, no, no. So here's the problem, but I want to show you the uses that I've found. Now, as you know, 2 years ago, there was a lot of chaos. We had the COVID. I took the COVID Health Response Act, and actually I made what you call an omnibus request for several declarations at one time. Now, often when you use this 1688 Bill of Rights, they will not tell you that they're doing anything about it. From investigations to other times that it's been used in history, there is no direct mention of the Bill of Rights 1688. However, the people who have used it to petition have been remedied at the highest echelons of power. And that is what has happened to me. Today we're going to be going through and telling you all the wonderful things that I and my Oreo team, who we can't put up because they are in New Zealand and we can't put them up for their own safety, but they're always working with me. They talk to me every single day and we're all working together. But anyway, I want to tell you all of our successes. One of the things that we're going to start with, let me get all these right. I just did do a video to show you Judith Collins has conducted a very serious investigation into legislation, into the writings of the legislations, into the changings of legislation. We can thank Kate Floss and the Oreo team for that, because you can see that in one of the memorandums of my statement of claim. I had said to them that we do pray a letter to the Governor-General requesting an urgent temporary suspension of all changes to constitutional law immigration policy and bills and acts, they didn't put that in, to people that are not allegiant to the oath that they swore. But the main part that I'm going to use in here, also we have asked, including an investigation of New Zealand National's function pursuant to the consistency of safety and welfare of this Protestant kingdom and the premises, that all ministers, all officers are bound, now listen up, they are bound to draft laws. Oh gosh, something just dropped. They are bound to draft laws according to the oath that supremacy in their office is required by law. And I had said strict scrutiny must be conducted to affirm that all ministers and officers are deemed to be functioning within the boundaries preserved to the people by William and Mary and their successors, so help me God. Now we're going to be hearing more about this William and Mary, because the Prince and Princess of Denmark, Mary, has just been made Queen. So we have a Mary, and we don't have a Will, but we do have a Christian. We've got a Christian and a Mary. So Mary is back. Okay, so Mary's back. Remember the Prince and Princess of Orange? And she was a Mary. The original Mary of the Prince and Princess of Orange was actually a queen, but she couldn't quite be queen. So they let her marry the Prince of Orange, which brought her into power. We have a new Mary, and we've requested that they obey the laws of Mary, of the Will and Mary. And what Judith Collins had said, I will play a little bit. Have a listen.
That members, when they wish to read the report, will understand is that if the legislation, secondary legislation, is being drafted by ministries themselves rather than Parliamentary Council office, there is often not the expertise in a ministry to be able to draft clearly and within the rules that are expected of legal drafting. And that was really clear. It was also clear that things seemed to not get better but worse as matters went on. When I think to the criticism of the COVID-19 Response Vaccination Legislation Act, which was actually introduced on the 23rd of November 2021 and had its first, second and third readings on the same day, that bill received royal assent 2 days later on the 25th of November, and that was actually really almost 2 years after the full first brunt of the pandemic had hit us. That bill did not go to a select committee. It did not go to regulations review. It was not given the sort of scrutiny that people should expect.
And I think, you see, it was not given the strict scrutiny that people, she might as well have just taken what I said and read it off the paper. That's what she said to them, that they have been drafting laws and they passed it in 1, 2, 3 readings. It has had no oversight. It has not gone to any lawyers. These ministers have got, most of them have got a high school education in New Zealand. They've got no experience. And so we can say, we can give ourselves a tick, big tick for Kate Floss and the Oreo team, that I did ask them. That's exactly what I said. And she did go on to say that the legislation looks like it was written by the communications team, meaning that it could have been legislation written off of Facebook. That's how bad the legislation has been of late. And I had asked for an investigation of the drafting of the laws and that about the scrutiny of the drafting of the laws. So you can thank Kate Floss and the Oreo team for that. The next thing we're going to go to is the governor. Now, I'll post this up in the links for you later. I have previously posted it up, but a lot of people are interested in that Judith Collins. What did we look at next? Now, we've got the governor, General. Now, we had sent an extra memo to the court, and in our memo, so we're going to see how many texts that we're going to get, okay? We'll see how many texts that we're going to get. So this was a list of grievances that we had the Marsden Point Refinery, and we had said that this is by Philip Bridge, gave us all this information, that they were closing down the Marsden Point Refinery so that New Zealand would be dependent on oil from foreign countries and would not be able to utilise their own oil. And not only that, the billions of dollars had been paid into it, and only for them to close it down. So we said that this was an incompetence of the Parliament with our tax-paid fund, that the government was charging ahead with the intent of instituting UN declarations of rights of Indigenous people into New Zealand law and universal rights, all international laws, and that New Zealand would be bound by any international instrument with no public consultation, and contrary to our indubitable right and supremacy and non-obstance made void. That's a special law that's in our 1688. So what we had said was that all these international laws that they're trying to bind our English Anglo-Saxon countries to, that we said that they were illegal, and we did not believe that they should be having that. We had asked for the three waters. We had complained about the three waters that give the government, it gives certain people, certain groups complete control over the assets and natural resources that are owned by the people of New Zealand. We called that a hostile resource grab. We've put in there he puapua. Judith Collins has accused the Parliament of working together in secret for 2 years to create with no public participation, and this has been supported by Willie Jackson. He puapua is a huge law that was created in unison with the United Nations to put New Zealand under complete and absolute tribal rule. The complete closure of the New Zealand health system and a health department that was going to be divided up to the people of New Zealand according to their race. We question that this is ruling by division. We had complained about the establishment of 2 Mormon temples, which was endangering the safety of the Protestant religion. One's in Auckland. It's a huge temple going up in Auckland, and one in Wellington. The teaching of false history education and non-heterosexual promotion to children in the schools. We said that that is a prejudice to the vindicating of the children's own religion, whatever that may be. The farmers in the lands taken in the significant natural area, this is called SNAs. This has been the assault that they've put on the New Zealand people. SNAs meant that they could walk onto any farm at all. They could survey it. They could chop off as much as they wanted, and they could say, this is a natural area, and you will no longer be able to use this area without the consent of certain tribes in New Zealand and various other things. They call it the SNA. Everybody was very upset about that one. This is all in the Kate Floss Oreo team court documents. It's recorded. It's in the NZLII. It's on Justice Cook's record. All of this is on record in the courts. There is no doubt that we have made an impact, and I will show you. The disarming of the Protestants of their firearms, including their legal arm, that's removing firearms. There is a thing in their firearms. The Terrorist Act of 2020 with United Universal Nations edicts, which are repugnant to the supremacy right, which is the Bill of Rights 1688. The Sustainable Development Goals aligned with more edicts of the United Nations and the World Economic Forum that has already been implemented into councils with no public consultation and contrary to our indubitable right. LexisNexis, which promotes inalienable right, which is repugnant, and it is a pretended title of the Crown and an attempt to governance contrary to our indubitable right. And then I've said, and Lord knows what else they will throw at us tomorrow. And we said that they were incompetent usurpers. Incompetent usurpers. So there were 13 things that all of the people of New Zealand had been complaining about, and we did not, when we went and did the court case, when I went and did the court case, I was not asking for any remedy. All I had said was I was asking for a declaration to confirm that our 1688 rights continued to exist, and then I said that these are the things that I deemed to be repugnant to that Bill of Rights, and I did not go into details of the issue, but these were all the things that were at the heart of the stress, complaint, and protests of the New Zealand people. Now, the farmers are going to go in there and say, we saved you on the SNAs. Then the Marsden Point protesters are going to go in and say, we saved you on the Marsden Point. But none of them can prove it. Mine is in the court. It's been recognised by Justice Cook, and mine is the only one where I packaged it all together. I attached it all to our 1688 Bill of Rights because I wanted to show you how powerful, how significant, how important it is that you and your children and your families can, when the government has gone rogue, when you've got no friends and you've got no one to turn to, and the only one, there comes a time in your life where the only one that you're going to be able to turn to, the only one, is the Almighty God. When everybody's gone rogue, when the government's gone rogue, when your friends have all left you, when you're down at the protests and it's pouring down with rain and it's snowing and nobody wants to be your friend because your hair's all hanging out and you look dirty and you look filthy and you're not bathed for a week, you've got no friends, when the parliament's against you, when the police are against you, when everybody's against you, the only one that you've got to turn to is the Almighty God. And the Almighty God says in the Bill of Rights that you, the person, can enter the court and ask for a declaration, and you can show the court where it's repugnant, and they're going to come in and fix it for you. Now I'm going to show you how they have fixed it for you. So here we'll go to the Governor General. Okay, so I might see if I hope you all can see it. I'll just do this one down here, and then when we get a hit, I'll be able to call it for you. Okay, so I might even be able to scroll it up on here actually. Yeah, I think I could just scroll it up on here. So let's start with the Governor General of New Zealand. With this is this here is what the Governor General of New Zealand has already told. So it's nice if the Parliament says it, but if the Governor General says it, you're in. You're really, really, really in. It's like you've got a double. You've got it said from, you know how these parliaments give you all these promises and then they go in there and they change them all and they say, oops, we wanted to do that, but we couldn't. And there's no accountability to them. But when the Governor-General says it, so you've got the Parliament saying it, then you've got the Governor, it's almost as if it's guaranteed because that would be an outright lie from the Governor-General. So you've really got a good chance of things being put through if it's not only been put through by Parliament but also been put through by the Governor-General. So let's have a look what we've got here. Education. So we'll go down. I didn't do education, law and order, public services, education on 1, 2, 3. It says that the government will require every primary and intermediate class to be taught an hour of reading, an hour of writing, and an hour of maths every day, because a good grasp of the basics is essential. But here it says, to help the teachers, the curriculum will be, so here, which one is this one? The 3 waters, the closure, the establishment, the teaching of false history education and non-heterosexual promotion to children in the schools is a prejudice to, so we already got one from Judith Collins, so I should make how many ticks we get. We got one from Judith Collins about our legislation, and now we've got one for the education. Now it says here, they will teach reading, writing, math, science, and the curriculum will be focused on academic achievement, not ideology. Now, she only has to put one word in there, but in a minute we're going to go over and look at what Winston Peters wrote. But it's backed up that they're not going to be teaching ideology in the classrooms, and Winston Peters goes further and sets out what they mean by that. So we can give ourselves a tick for that. The next one we've got is the health. We've got the health system. So where did I put here? I did put in the health. Let's find our health. So you can thank Kate Floss that we've said that there has been a complete closure of the New Zealand health system, and the health department is to be divided up to people of New Zealand according to their race. So what they have said now is that the, right down the bottom, the Maori Health Authority, which was overtaking the New Zealand health system, will be completely and absolutely disestablished. And you can see why, because they're not spending the money that they were given, where they've been an abject failure. I believe that they were given a chance and they blew it. They mightily blew it. There's a woman saying that her children were beaten up in a park. They had blood pouring out of their heads. They were down at the hospital for 8 hours. She had to take them to the hospital herself because there were no ambulances. And when they got there were no doctors. And why is this? This is because the money that's being given to the administrators from the Parliament, from our taxes to pay for the health, is not being given to ambulances and doctors and nurses. It's all being sucked up in administration for this co-governance in health. That's going to end. This is going to be absolutely disestablished. And I did actually say, divided up to the people according the 50% unelected Maori Parliament, of which people on the Maori electoral roll are actually Pacifica and not born to New Zealand. It says a double. There will be no, listen up, there will be no co-governance of public services, and emphasis will shift to the front line rather than the back office that's sucking up all the money. Services will be delivered based on the need, using a range of providers and, well, including iwi and community groups who best reach, well, I'm not quite sure how it says it'll be disestablished. I'm not really quite sure. But no co-governance, apparently. So there's going to be one governance for all. But then she goes on, it's like she said none, and then she said, but yes, there will be. So we can't believe it all. Now, we did complain about the 3 waters. So the 3 waters, I'll put these in their numbers. So we got the education, which was on number 8, And then we got the health done, which was on number 5, and also and number 6. We got that done, and now we're going on to the 3 waters, which is number 3. That we said the 3 waters gives the government complete control. And so if you carry on to infrastructure, welfare work, housing, infrastructure on number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. As promised, the government will repeal the 3 waters legislation and restore council ownership and control with stronger central government oversight and strict rules for water quality and ongoing investment. It may be that the fluoridation of the water is going to be stopped. It may well actually be. But imagine if the people that were doing the fluoridation of water, imagine if they had used their 1688 Bill of Rights. Imagine. It'd probably be all over now. So the 3 waters is going to be repealed, and what they're basically saying is there's going to be more oversight from the central government of how they're spending the money. The next thing that we had, SNAs, primary sector, they've said that they have said here that we have complained about the SNAs. Farmers' lands taken in the significant natural area and unviable ability to farm due to strict regulation, and is a forfeiture of person with no conviction, and it is under the Resource Management Act. We said that that is illegal because that's a forfeiture of your property. They cannot forfeit your property and your property protection rights. Where, honestly, people, where do you think your property protections rights are? They're in the 1688 Bill of Rights. This is where your property protections are. Here, where it says all grants and promises of fines and any forfeitures of particular persons before there's been any conviction of such person is illegal and void. Now, if these lawyers had gone into about these SNA years ago with the 1688 Bill of Rights, all those SNAs that occurred would not have happened. And they really wouldn't. And that is where your property protection is, right here. They cannot, because these are grants. Those are grants of land from the Queen. She gives a land grant. When you buy a piece of property, she gives a land grant in the fee simple, and they're not allowed to forfeit it from you, not for any reason. So that is protected. Now you can see here that she has said the government will reduce the regulatory burden on farmers who are spending an increasing amount of their time on paperwork. The implementation of significant natural areas will cease, and existing significant natural areas will be looked at as part of the reform of the Resource Management Act. And you might as well have just taken it right out of Kate Floss's complaint, because I said that it was in the Resource Management Act, and I said that the Resource Management Act was causing all sorts of problems. So we did get number 9. I think I've used that Resource Management Act at another time. Now, so we got from the Governor General, and I'm sure actually there is something in here over guns. Oh no, not in here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that were on Kate Floss and the Oreo team's list. We had a meeting, And we did decide that we sat together and went over all the grievances, and we did sit up all night, and so that's what we come up with. Now, it does not end there, folks. Doesn't even end there. We can then, so those are the guaranteed things from the Governor-General. So those are just absolutely guaranteed, and if it's come out of the Governor-General, then that's absolutely guaranteed. Just remember what I said about that education. Now what you're going to see is the same thing come out of Winston Peters's reforms that he wanted to have. Okay, so let's I'll just put that up there. So I'll put, and I can put that back up there, can I? I think you can probably see that there. Right, there we go. So we're going to go on to Winston Peters before I wrap up the video. Winston Peters, he went on to do his... Can I make that smaller? I don't think I need to have that there like that. Takes a bit of manoeuvring, this stuff. Right, let's go on to see what Winston Peters said. Now we can go to the amendment of resource management, policy program, rebuilding, economy, immigration, infrastructure, natural resources. I didn't do a lot of this, but we've got the restoring of law and order, public services, education, health, amend the resource. Is it here? Oh, damn, I hate when I lose these things. Oh dear, I'll find it in a minute. All right, let's go down to education then. All right, if I find this resource one, it should be clear. Oh, here. Okay, so we've got it. So they are going to invest. So Winston Peters, we've got here, on here, the main grievance was the closing of the Marsden Point refinery, and we've complained about that. They have said now for the Marsden Point, so all this, they had spent billions and billions of dollars on the Marsden Point refinery, okay, and then so what they've said that they're going to do, now I've lost it again, I should have stayed there, they are going to investigate, well, they say they're going to investigate the reopening of the Marsden Point refinery, but they also said that that will include establishing a fuel security plan, a safeguard of our transport, a logistics systems and emergency services, and it's going to be protected from any international or any domestic disruption. So they're going to protect that from these greens freaks from stopping the drilling for oil and gas in New Zealand, which we need for our economy, and it's good. Why can all the other countries can have it, but not New Zealand? The other thing that they're going to do is they're going to progress further work examining. They want to connect the railway to the Marsden Point and the North Port from the Northern Main Truck Line, and they want to progress the detailed business case for a dry dock at Marsden Point to service domestic and international shipping needs, and to support Navy vessels, and there's going to be an investigation of funding options into commercial partnerships. So it sounds to me that there's a huge plan in the works for Marsden Point, okay? So that's going to be coming up. The next thing we've got is education. Restoring law and order, delivering better public services here for education. Now this just got, so we'll give a point here for number 1 that we got, and then we can go back down to our education here that we already talked about the teaching of non-heterosexual promotion to children. For the education, he says, we will refocus the curriculum on academic achievement. There will be no more ideology, and including the removal and replacement of the gender, sexuality, and relationship-based education guidelines. So all that is going to be taken out. So that is a tick there from Winston Peters, but it's also a follow-up. You've got a double whammy there, because that one was done over with the Governor-General, and that one has always also been done with Winston Peters. So that is going to be done. It's got to be done because the Governor-General has said that it's going to be done. So if it isn't done, that's the end of your job, Governor-General. Since you've been the Governor-Generals have been absolutely useless for decade upon decade upon decade. It's about time we made them do their work. These people are getting paid $400,000 a year. You've got the right to call them out. Now, the next one is the health. They've got now health, which was on number 5. Here, number 6, that we had on our health. He says we're going to abolish the Maori Health Authority. That is backed up. There's some other stuff that they're going to do. Birthday and reform the vacant. So we've got that. That there is confirmed by the Governor-General, and the Governor-General had more to say about that. And then we've gone down to, now this is not in ours, but it is in other places, that they are going to not allow the government to change the official name of New Zealand to that Aotearoa rubbish, and they're also going to legislate to make English an official language of New Zealand. Now, I'm going to do another video because both Jodie and Diane, we had done separate letters about the English language and about the name of New Zealand, and that's all, but I'm trying to make this a shorter video, but that's all tied up in other letters, and so I've still got to do one more video on that. And then we also got, it goes on to say that, so we also have complaints in here about Marsden Point, the United Nations, which is number 2, we've got on there that the government charging head institution, United Nations laws, and the Indigenous rights. Well, it says here that they confirm, listen up, that the coalition government does not recognise the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. It does not recognise it. There you have it. It's written right there as having any binding legal effect on New Zealand at all. So that is something that we can all relax about. That has been done and dusted. So we can give that a big tick. And we also had put in here, Hair Pua Pua was a complaint. Now this is, if you're from overseas, you won't understand this, But this He Puapua was a secret document where certain bodies from the Human Rights Commission and certain bodies from the United Nations had joined together with our New Zealand natives in secret locked rooms and made all sorts of promises to which the rest of New Zealand had no power over. Well, the He Puapua, you can see it right here, they are going to stop all work on He Puapua. So He Puapua, which was number 4, He Puapua is out. Okay? He Puapua is out. And there will be no, they're going to, Winston Peters has again reiterated, and we've also had that from the Governor-General, that they will remove code governance from the delivery of all public services. Now, this does not mean that we won't have our New Zealand Maori, not every mother, Tom, Dick and Harry, but our proper New Zealand Maori that own thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of lands. It's their land. And so they're going to still continue, I believe, to my understanding, they will continue to have separate bodies for themselves to take care, because that was part of the promise. However, all of the public services will be all for one and one for all. And then they will have a special category that applies for them, but it will not be used up of our tax monies, and it's not going to be a complete division of our country. So it sounds like they're pretty much going back to what we had before in the 1800s, how we had originally our Anglo Pākehā and New Zealand Maori people were joined together in a marriage. And when we joined together in that marriage, we made certain agreements of how we were going to conduct ourselves in that marriage. And all of those agreements have been trashed, and it looks like we're going back to restore the marriage that we once had, and we're going to mend our marriage. We're not going to divorce. We're going to mend the marriage, is what we're going to do. So of all of the 13, we have gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we've got 6, 7, and we've got an 8. So there've been 8, and probably quite a few more. There is actually a firearms one down here, which Brent will be very upset if I didn't show it, but I didn't get it before I started the. Now this here is signed by Christopher Luxton, and it's signed by Winston Peters. So it has been signed, and this is what they intend to do. There's going to be no more surprises in the parliamentary bills. They are to let us know what they're doing in there. And so they've got to be more responsible. They're going to be bound to the Cabinet Manual. The Cabinet Manual is going to have any wording in it that is not clear and not correct in legal terms. That's all going to be removed. So this has been a huge task. Now, I'm not saying that I'll try to find Brent's gun laws that he wants. I think it'll be under the law and order that we've got gun. They were having all their guns. We don't have a lot of guns in New Zealand. Introduce measures, curb the flea. I know there was one in here. But I know I can't find it right now. Sorry about that, Brent. But anyway, not that you watched the video. Anyway, mate, so these are all the things that we have achieved from the 1688 Bill of Rights, that all of those things were repugnant to the supremacy laws. They were repugnant to, I used grants of forfeitures, I used the subject's arms, I used the right to petition, I used I did not use levying of money, but I'm planning, I would like to use it. I also used the supremacy law. I used the subjects' liberties to be allowed, and I also used extensively the limitations of the Crown. Every single one of you, in my opinion, whether you're from England, whether you're from Australia, whether you're youthful like me, every single one of you, if you're a responsible parent, I would recommend to you, what would I want to teach you? Teach your children well. I would want to teach you. So of the 13 grievances from the Governor-General and the Parliament, we got 8 of those grievances, and the other ones were not clear. Some of the grievances were not clear, and that's why I didn't get anything. But those ones that were clear, we got those. And not only that, Judith Collins, we also got an investigation into the way that they're drafting the legislation, and it's not being drafted according to the oath. It's being drafted by ministries. It's basically, it could be the maid that's sweeping the floors, that they say, hey, come and draft this legislation as long as you've got a bare high school education, not to criticise the maids, so we love the maids. So what has happened is anybody's been drafting the laws and it's not been gone to any scrutiny. She might as well have just plucked it right out of there and put it in her parliamentary speech. That has been dealt with. So we have missed. What would be my advice to you? Under you should print the Declaratory Judgements Act. You should print your 1688 Bill of Rights. I will put them up in the links for you. You should print those 2 things. And if you've got a bit of time of your hands, and if you've got a child that's interested, I believe that every single person, if you get the opportunity, should try to go to the court at some point in your life, learn the courts, and learn how to go to the court and ask for a declaration. Now, I'm still in the court. I still haven't got my declaration, because what had happened is they struck me out. And as they were striking me out, every single time I appealed, I added a new grievance, because I knew that every time I appealed to a Supreme Court, every time I appealed to an appeals court, I knew that the highest echelons of power were reading what I was writing, because it concerned them. Because I had called 4 ministers and I haven't done the video yet, but of the 4 ministers that I called in, 3 of them have stepped down. Chris Farfoy was the first one to go. Ashley Bloomfield stepped down, and Jacinda Ardern. Now, I'm not saying it's because of me, but they did all step down when my court case was accepted into the court shortly afterwards. That is one. The Human Rights Commissioner has stepped down, and I wouldn't mind betting it's because he slipped into the Human Rights Act that New Zealand would be bound to any international instrument. Can you imagine a law like that? It's in the Human Rights Act 1993, Section 5, subsection KII, orders that New Zealand will be bound through the Treaty of Waitangi, that New Zealand will be bound to any international instrument. And that is why they were going to have so much power. So we now know that the UNDRIP is in check. They no longer have this power. So, if you get the opportunity, please print the 16. Don't just read the 1688 Bill of Rights on the internet. Print it. Print your 1908 Declaratory Judgment Act. Go and learn about the judges. You don't even bother about Parliament. Don't bother. You should know who your appeals court judges are, who your Supreme Court judges are, because anything done in Parliament can be changed at the flick of a pen. But if it's done through the courts and it's done through the declaratory judgments and through the Governor-Generals, it means that it's going to get done. So this is a very important skill. Learn the courts, learn the judges, and if you ever get a chance, if you have some kind of a grievance, if you feel that one of your rights has been violated in the 1688 Bill of Rights, you may go there. You can also go to the Select Committee. Going to continue our work to teach you how to take the power back, how you can control your own little piece of the earth, your little piece of the earth, and how they govern over your little piece of the earth. Not everybody else's, not all the public, not him, her. Under Almighty God, you've got this little few set of rights that protects your little turf. And that's why we have private property ownership. In fact, we all have a private property ownership. Even if you don't own a home, you actually own a piece of land. Your birth certificate is your share certificate to that piece of land. When that birth certificate was created through your 4G grandfather and your 4G grandmother, when that was created, you were locked into a piece of earth, a piece of land on this earth. And that stays with your family generation after generation after generation. You might not own it, it's kind of a weird thing, but you are always connected to it. And that is your equity. And that is where your rights base is. And through that, you are able to have your individual right under Almighty God that protects your little area of turf for your body and your soul and yourself. So please print the documents. Kate Floss, get a nice picture. Youthful today. Right, am I looking good? Right, Kate Floss, hang on. I like it to go off. Right, here you go. Kate Floss signing out, bringing the power back, and good luck to you all. And yes. Get my eyes right. Nice smile. Get my eyes right. I don't want them to be